And I believe we are now live.
We're back.
Yes.
Again.
We're back again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Money Masters Twitter space. We are currently just waiting in on Latinx Investor. Joyce will be joining us for today's Twitter space. So just give us a second. But while we're waiting on that, Noah, you mind introducing yourself? Tell the crowd a little bit about you.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be back, everyone. So yeah, I'm Noah. I'm here with the Money Masters team working on content development, going in, working on some of the lessons, the content that you see to help educate as many people as possible in personal finance, investing, trading, and a whole bunch of other topics and stuff. So wonderful things that are going on. Dave,
Yes.
what is your story with Money Masters?
So, my name is Dave. I'm a Canadian kid, found my way over to Geneva to get a master's in finance, and since then I have been happily working at Money Masters, helping out with the marketing team, with the sales team, and yeah, that's around it for me. So, Noah, you want to tell us a little about the Money Masters application?
Absolutely. So, as we say every week, Money Masters is the best place to learn about personal finance. We believe that if you know nothing about personal finance, that it's a great foundation spot for you to get started. But we also think that maybe you've spent 10 years learning finance, you work in finance, we still think that you're able to take something away from it. We think that anyone who's done anything is able to enrich their lives and learn something new on the Money Masters platform within the Academy. But Dave, that's not all we got.
Yes, we also have the Money Masters Arena feature where we believe that you need to practice and then play. In terms of trading and investing, we believe it's the exact same sort of concept. You have to go and actually dive into the waters of the stock market in a almost risk-free environment, but it isn't completely risk-free because we do have competition-based gamification. Within the Money Masters Arena, you can join either a daily, weekly, or monthly tournament. And from there, you have the chance to win vouchers from some of your favorite brands if your portfolio performs
Absolutely.
well.
If you haven't just yet, be sure to join the August Arena before that gets going next week. Look forward to see you there.
Yes, and with that, we are currently trying to get Joyce in on the space. However, we see that she is listening. I just don't believe she is signed in on Twitter. So just give us a second and hold up with us here, folks. But we believe this issue will be sorted out shortly. Let's send her over this invite. And nope, she's still not on the space. So Noah, you want to give us a little brief introduction of who we're going to be speaking with today?
Yes, so we have another phenomenal guest with us today. We have Joyce, aka the Latinx Investor. So she's a first-generation immigrant, Latina, self-made first-generation investor, according to her profile. Joyce is someone who's very passionate about personal finance, and we're really excited to have her on. She talks both about personal finance and the economy at large right now.
Mm-hmm. And Joyce, if you're listening to us right now, you need to log into your Twitter because we can see that there's one other listener, but it is not logged in at the moment.
So we'll figure this all out.
Yeah, we're figuring this all out as we go along.
Well, we figured this out. Today I was actually kind of disappointed. My July Arena is up. I actually thought I was doing pretty well at 13%, but I was doing around like 8th place, 7th place yesterday. Woke up this morning and a bunch of people. I'm all the way down at 20th place. I'm still up. I still went from 12 to 13%, and yet some people in the arena are doing such a good job with their tradings that I have been pushed back all the way to 20th place.
And that's always great whenever you see people thriving in the Money Masters tournament for July.
Some people are making some good trades out there.
Yes, there are. So we are still trying to figure out these technical difficulties that are happening right now on our Twitter space. I don't really see how this was an issue. This was an issue when we were doing it with Fonjit previously. But
there's just sometimes technology is a little bit of a fickle, but we'll get there.
Well,
one of the things that we don't talk about a lot here on our Twitter space is our articles. But if you don't know, our articles correlate with our academy. So if you have certain topics that you're interested in,
and there she
we
is.
got her.
We finally got her.
Hello, Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
Wait, we got a request.
We got a speaker request. There we
Speaker
go.
request. Wait, I see a little mute thing. Get rid of that. Yes, yes, yes. One more.
Latinx Investor is now muted.
Nope, unmuted.
Now you're unmuted. Joyce, how are you?
Oh, we're so close.
Can you hear me okay now?
Ah, there we got it. Hey!
We finally got you, Joyce. How are you? No worries. The whole Twitter space is all new to everyone. So, Joyce, we did a little brief introduction about you, but it would be great to hear it from yourself.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
So yeah, Joyce, if you wouldn't mind, give us a little bit of a background about yourself and about what brought you into personal finance.
And in particular, that of Latinx investing.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I've been in financial services for about 8 years at this point. I actually started my career on the trading desk at Goldman Sachs and eventually made my way into a fintech and have been here in algorithmic trading at quantitative brokers. And in the past 8 years, I've noticed that the personal finance journey is really one that you have to seek on your own. And I've been fortunate to, be surrounded by mentors, be surrounded by so many people who are willing to help me, but so many others, first generation investors, I would call them, are not as fortunate and don't have that mentorship. And so I'm here to provide it as a Latinx investor, self-made, first gen investor, teaching personal finance very simply right now on social media, but also through private personal coaching.
Awesome. So how exactly did you get into becoming so passionate about personal finance and kind of doing this almost as like a side hustle sort of thing? How did that all begin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love talking about money and I love talking about markets. So it was just so natural that I was talking to a friend about, the stock market volatility in January, and she just looked at me like, "You invest in the stock market?" And I said, "Yeah, you don't? What are you talking about?" And it was sort of that awakening moment, like, you need to talk about this broadly because it's something you know so much about, and you should, spread the wealth, spread the knowledge. And so it just started from there. Early January this year, I started talking more and more openly about it. And realized that so many people could use that help, that mentorship. So it started pretty organically and pretty recently, but it's been so amazing.
That's awesome to hear. And we just have a follow-up question to that. Kind of, how is it when you saw, especially with some of your friends, because I'm assuming that some of them that you were talking to were female, seeing them like not having the confidence to kind of invest, and how did it feel when you got into this very male-dominated industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when I joined QB, my current fintech employer, I was one of the first women, 4 out of like 20 people. So it is a very male-driven, male-dominated space, and I look at it as like, this is opportunity. This is opportunity for women to put in their touch, their magic, the way that we work with products, the way we envision things and market things. That has always been our edge in this marketplace. But also investing as a beginner, it was difficult. There was no one to look forward to, but my mentor all males, pretty much just helped me, took me under the wings and showed me like, hey, this is a stock, like this is an ETF, this is why you should buy it, this is why you should budget, etc. So you just have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, essentially.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Joyce. So from some of the people that you've worked with and what you've seen out there, what might be, from what you've seen, some of the major issues that people are confronting, that maybe some common challenges that people aren't really tackling or struggling to tackle right now regarding personal finance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, majority of Americans could not pay a $1,000 emergency fee if something came up in their lives, and I think that's a huge issue. That's not an issue of personal finance so much in the sense like that they budget accordingly or whatever. It's more of a they're not earning enough. And we have a institutional issue in this country where hourly wages are so low, cost of living is so high, and not understanding personal finance will just set you in a trap of debt or set you in credit card debt, etc. So I think that's one of the biggest pieces that we need to confront, and it is really about basic economics, but also about empowering people to get out of their comfort zone, go learn a new skill, go into tech if that's what your dream is, or go learn a new skill and create a side hustle or start a business, and really just inspire people to get out of that rat race. Really is what I would call it.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to put it, because whenever we look at the personal finance situation, just the basic economic situation of the US right now, obviously there's a lot of problems that are kind of happening. And one of those things we actually wanted to ask you was we wanted to see how you think that people could better prepare kind of with what's going on in the US right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a few things that everybody should have at this point is a really good understanding of their income and a good understanding of their outflows, and that is by doing a budget, right? So simply as that, like start with a budget. It just has to be your needs and wants in a piece of paper, getting a better understanding of where you are financially so that you can start preparing for really what we are looking at today with the GDP announcement, a recession, right? I think that's number one. Number two is I think everyone should start some emergency savings. So opening a high yield savings account, which is now yielding about 1.5, 1.7%, really safe place to park your money every month, etc. And then really starting to think and take advantage of your employer's 401k if you have one, or 403b plans, just to set yourself up for success. So many millennials and so many young adults are not thinking about retirement, and it is going to happen so quickly. It's something we need to start worrying or preparing for, or setting aside that budget and investing every month.
And I think it's really cool that you actually brought up that point, and specifically you talked about young people, because I do find that happens a lot with myself, Noah, you. We're all younger generation, and retirement seems so far away. So what's kind of the piece of advice that you would give to someone that's just kind of starting out their career, that thinks they have so much time to kind of plan and these economic downswings won't really affect them too much? What would you say to them?
Yeah, simply put, it's your investment today is worth more than your investment like tomorrow. So you have to set it aside, and time is of the essence, right? When it comes to investing, it really takes time for your money to grow. Opportunities such as recessions or bear markets, which we are in right now, where the market looks really unfavorable and really scary. These are sort of like that sale item at Target that you need to purchase. It's on sale. The stock market's on sale. Get in there, let it ride, let it sit there. So it really is something you need to buy low, sell high, hold for the long term. And I think we need to stop being scared of the future. We need to accept that one day we will age and we will need substantial financial circumstances to live in a country where cost of health costs, etc., are so high. So yeah, it's just really coming up to that realization really early on and being responsible and taking ownership.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's perfect advice. I think that we all like to think that we're invincible, we're never gonna fail, they're never gonna break a bone, we'll just keep going forever, and it's always gonna be the good times. So, so there's got a follow up for you. Right now it feels like we're bombarded all the time with constant news about the economy, constant debates, articles, and all of that. So first question for you is, how would you recommend best people who maybe don't understand economics or finance go about understanding the economy, and what do they look for? What signals should they see to understand the economy without, or best try to navigate the massive tidal wave of information that can feel that's just overwhelming at times?
Right, it is, and I have to say, the news media outlets, they are out there just to generate income. So it has to be said. It has to be said because they put breaking news in literally everything, and they're trying to get your
Yeah.
attention where we're bombarded with content. You have to realize that this is a monetized industry, right? So that's why you're bombarded with this sort of information. But you do have to be smart about where you read your content and how much of it do you trust or believe, or also have your own opinions, right? I like to ask my audience, like, what do you think out of this content? But I do think it's an intro to economics, just understanding supply and demand, understanding that jobs report, what GDP is, or how it gets calculated, or even like the structure of the stock market. So like, what is the stock market? Like, what are these exchanges? What is this whole thing all about? Is the basics. You need to understand that, and then everything else is sort of like, okay, I get it. We're in a recession. What happens now? Asking yourself, what has happened in history? What is likely to happen in the future? It's not that history is a perfect indicator, but it does repeat itself, right?
Yeah.
So where some people may be upset or freaking out or really not knowing how to digest that information, it's all about like, take a moment, take a breather, really understand the nature course of this, like what happens from here, how can you best prepare, how can you best monetize from this situation, and stay level-headed, right? With a plan and understanding, it's all gonna be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're running a little bit on short on time, but I have a question that kind of follows up on that one, just to actually provide, if you could provide maybe an example here. So we know now that federal rates are going up for the second time, another 75 basis points that was announced. And we'd like to see from maybe what someone who's young, let's say early 20s, just coming out of college, what do you think they should make of such an announcement?
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds doom and gloom, but interest rates are one of the few levers that the Federal Reserve has to work with during moments of economic downturn. So they can either print money or they can raise interest rates. Those are really the only two levers. And so by raising interest rates, they're hoping to ease inflation. They're hoping to ease the cost of living, which is essentially going up very, very dramatically fast. So coming out of college, probably if you have or don't have student loans, coming out of college, really understand where you are and what those loans look like, so that you can best prepare to either consolidate them at a lower interest when the interest rate markets does ease, because it will have to at some point, and then preparing yourself to do that so you can pay down your debt at a lower interest rate to set yourself up for success. Separately, if you're in that age of like potentially buying a new home, rising interest rate markets are actually very favorable on the pricing of the home, especially in the US. I know I purchased a home last year and prices went up almost double since I bought the home, which is crazy. But as interest rates are now going up, the pricing of that house is pretty much coming down. So there are some solid opportunities. Don't be afraid of interest rates, because the best thing for the US consumer is that you can always re-rate, you can always refinance. And that's the magic word when it comes to rates. You can refinance. You have to be aware of where you are, and you have to be aware of where the economy is going.
Joyce, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today and for that fantastic answer to all of our questions. All of this blew our mind. So now we just have one more thing, because we are in the final minute of the space. Where can people find out more about you, learn more about Latinx investing, and Joyce?
Yes, absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram at Latinx Investor, or I also have a website, latinxinvestor.co, and I'm available for personal coaching or just, a little bit of advice.
That's awesome. And that wraps up today's Twitter space. Joyce, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really appreciated having you on the space today. So from Dave
And Noah.
and Joyce, thank you so much once again. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.